What is up, guys? Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing another Roblox Studio tutorial. It's going to be a little bit more simple than my last video. I'm just going to be showing you how to make a system that you can change with a tool. So let's open up our studio and let's get to it. So here I have my sign, and it's already been made. I'm not a builder, so I had somebody make me a sign. And as you can see, I got it in a folder, and there is a surface GUI that is attached to a part that I named sign. And so I already have this pre-built just to kind of save us some time. You can go ahead and make yours and pause the video and come back. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is go into our starter pack, and we're going to want to create a tool. And so in this tool, we're going to name it ChangeSign just so we can keep it consistent. And inside of this, I'm going to want to put a local script. And so this is where we're going to start coding. And so what I'm going to want this script to do is to actually create a screen GUI for the player when the player equips it. So I went ahead and put a handle inside of this. You don't need to. You can just get a handle from the toolbox as a free model. It's not a big problem. So the first thing that we're going to want to do in this script is set up our parameters. So we have just a few. The first is the tool, and that is going to be script.parent. And then the next one is the player. So that is going to be game.players.localPlayer. And so we can only call this when we're using a local script, but luckily we are. And so now that we have our parameters set up, the next thing that we're going to want to do is create our local functions. And so this is where we're going to create our starter GUI for the player. And so we're going to say local GUI is equal to instance.new, and we're going to say screen GUI. And then the reason we're going to do it this way is because it's always good to learn how to create GUIs with a script, and I'm not that good at it, so we're going to practice. So we're going to say GUI.name is equal to tool GUI, and then we're going to say GUI.parent is equal to player.player GUI. And so now that we have our GUI set up, we're going to want to put a frame inside of it, and so we're going to create our frame. And so I already have the size and position values written down, and so I'm just going to copy and paste them. But we're going to say local frame is equal to instance.new frame, and then we're going to say local frame.size. Here we go, not local frame. We're going to say frame.size is equal to udim2.new, and in the parentheses we're going to put I'm going to paste it, but I will go ahead and say it. See if I can find it. We're going to put 0, 200, 0, 100. And then for the position, we're going to say frame.position is equal to udim2.new. And in these parentheses, we're going to say, see if I can find it. Here it is. 0.5, negative 100, 0.5, negative 50. And so the next thing that we're going to do is the color of the frame. We're going to style it, and so for the color I always do black. So we're going to do color3.new is equal to 0, 0, 0, and then we're going to do the background transparency, and we're going to make it 0.5. So once we have that, we can set the parent to starter GUI and then work on our text label, or our text box, I'm sorry. So we're going to say local, let's see, we're going to say local text box is equal to instance new, and then in the parentheses we're going to say text box. Then we're going to say text box dot size is equal to udim2.new, and in these parentheses we're going to put 0, 150, 0, and 30. So then text box.position is equal to udem2.new, and then for the position we're going to put it in the middle of the, or kind of above the button that we're going to make. So we want it in the middle. And for that we're going to say, see if I can find it. (0.5, -75, 0.3, and -15. So then we're going to say text box.font is equal to enum.font.luckiestguy, and I like luckiest guy is my favorite font, but you can use whatever you like. And then we're going to say text box.text is equal to enter message. And so the reason we're doing this is so the player kind of knows what to put in the text box. And then we're also going to change the placeholder text, because when the player clicks the text box, the text is going to disappear. So in the placeholder text we're just going to put the same thing. And then after we have that, we're going to go ahead and set the text size. So we want to make sure that we have the text size to either like 18 or something that's going to fit nicely. We don't want it extremely big. And then we're also going to do the text color as well, because I need to do this first. So we want the text color to be to white, because we're going to set the text box we're going to set the text box to be black as well. So once we have that, we can go ahead and set the text size to 18. And then after we have that, I believe we're done setting up our text box, and we can just set the parent to the frame. And so once we have our text box created, we can go ahead and move on to creating our submit button. So currently the way this works is when this function is going to be called, the create GUI function will create a screen GUI, and then it will create a frame that will go inside that GUI, and then it'll create a text box that will go inside the frame. And now what we're going to create is the button that whatever text that is entered into the text box, it's submitted. So when the submit button is pressed, we'll fire a server event, and we'll have a script in the server that will receive that. So let's go ahead and create our button, and go ahead and set the size. So we're going to do 0, 80, 0, and 30 for the size. And then we're going to say button position is equal to udem2.new. And then let me get the values for these. Here we go. And so 0.5, -40, 0.7, and -15 for the position values. So once we have that, we're going to want to set the background transparency to 0.8, and then we're going to want to set the background color to black. So it's very important to stylize your style your GUIs just so they look good and consistent. And then we're going to make the text of the button say submit. And then once we have all of that, we're going to want to change the font to luckiest guy so it's consistent with the text box. And then we can change the text size to 18 as well. And then once we have that, we can set parent to the frame, unless I'm forgetting something. But I think that's no. We gotta change the text color first. So we're going to set the text color to white, and then once we do that, we should be able to set the set the button's parent to the frame. Perfect. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and write a local function for our button. So what we're going to want to do is inside this create GUI function, we're going to want to write another local function for when the player presses the button. Or it's not a local function, but a function for the button. And so we're going to say local text is equal to textbox.text. And then what this is going to do is go up and it's going to grab whatever the text is entered into the text box. And so if the text box is not equal to nothing, then we can go ahead and write our function after that. So what it's doing right now is going to check to see if the player has actually entered something, because we don't want this local script to fire the server if the player didn't enter anything. And so then we want to create a remote event in the replicated storage called ChangeText so that we can find it with this script, and then we want to fire the server. And we want to, in the parentheses of fire server, we want to put text so that that is transmitted to the server, and that's very important so that the server will be able to receive that information, and then we can change the text with the server so that all the players can see it. So now what we want to do is write our tool equipped function. So I'm going to say tool.equipped connect function, and then we want to say create GUI, and then we want to write another function for when the player unequips the tool that gets rid of the GUI. So how we're going to do that is pretty simple. We're going to pretty much just say tool.unequipped connect function, and then once we have that, we're going to say local GUI is equal to script or player GUI find first child tool GUI, and then we're going to say if GUI is equal to, if GUI, then we're going to say GUI destroy. So it's going to check to see if it can find the GUI in the player's starter GUI, and then if it can, it will destroy. If it isn't, then it won't. And so that way, when the player equips it, the GUI will be made, and when the player unequips it, it won't be on his screen anymore. And as you can see, when we test, whenever it loads, that's exactly what's going to happen. Boom. And so you can see that we can enter a message in there and press submit. So now that we have that, the next thing that we're going to want to do is first check to see if we had any errors, which we didn't. Otherwise, some wouldn't have been made. And then we want to move on to creating our server scripts. So go to the server script service and create a new script. And then what we're going to do is change the name of it to ChangeSign, just so when we put this in game, we'll be able to find it if we need to edit it in the future. So this server script is going to be pretty simple. It's not going to be, a whole hour of coding. It is going to be probably just about, 5 or 10 lines. First thing we're going to do is set up our parameter, and we're going to say local event is equal to game.replicated storage, and then put your remote event. Ours is change text. So after that, what we're going to do is write a function for this event. And so the way we do that is we say event, not local. I guess we're going to do a local function. So we're going to do local function on ChangeSign event, and then inside this we're going to say local sign is equal to game.workspace.sign, and then we're going to find our part that has our surface GUI in it, and we're going to say sign. And then we're going to go ahead and find the text label as well so that we can save a few lines of code. Once we have that, all we're going to do is up in the parentheses of the local function, we're going to put player comma text. And so what that's going to do is receive that information that was fired from the local script. The text that we put beside fire server is going to send it here. And so all we want to do now is say sign text.text is equal to text. And so once we do that, whatever we put in the text box after we hit submit, it's going to receive it, and this function will change the text. So all we got to do now is connect everything together. And so we're going to say event on server event connect, and then in the parentheses we're going to say on change event, on change sign event, I'm sorry. And so now that's all that's left to do is test. Here we go. Okay, there we are. So let's put our message in 1 2 3, and you see that it changes. So let's put something else. Hello world. Station closed. Road closed. And so you can see that you can just change this to whatever you want, and it will display on the sign. And you can put the sign anywhere in your game. It's pretty cool in my opinion. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys can get some use out of this. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe. That helps me out a lot. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your days.